So very simple topic, but something that we tend to ignore pretty often. These are the main dental concerns which come out in young kids. So we'll just start with the first schedule of baby teeth eruption. Now mostly the common complaints that we get with new parents are those who are worried that their child's teeth are not erupting at all. So generally tooth eruption starts by about, it's written 8 to 12 months, it can start even earlier, say around 5 odd months is a pretty normal range. But there is no need to panic if the first tooth doesn't really erupt till about 15 to 16 months of age. Even then there is no known treatment. The only thing you need to do is massage the gums so that the gum becomes soft enough for the tooth to cut through it. The only time that there may be a problem is when the teeth fail to erupt till about 3 years of age. It is then that you require actual interventions to be done. These usually occur when there are hereditary problems or in kids who have some kind of medical issues or syndromes. So otherwise, for kids who are having a normal growth pattern, there's really nothing to worry if the teeth come out a little later than usual. So considering the schedule, the teeth start erupting usually by about 6 months of age, and the last teeth, which are the second milk molars, come out till about 2.5 to 3 years of age. So you usually have a 2-year window in which all the teeth come out. The other most common question, which is the best toothpaste that you can use for a child, or which toothpaste can make my child's teeth shine, or if they do not come out, is there a calcium deficiency? No, there's absolutely no truth to any of concerns regarding toothpaste. Please don't be misled by advertisements which say that one toothpaste might do the job of a mouthwash and toothpaste and toothbrush. It is nothing of that sort that happens. You just need a basic fluoridated toothpaste. Earlier the recommendation was a non-fluoride toothpaste till 3 years of age, till the child learns to spit. But the latest recommendation says that a fluoride toothpaste is a must right from the time that the first tooth erupts, and it is usually 1000 ppm of fluoride that is recommended. Now unfortunately in India it is the half ticket concept everywhere. A small child, so half the dose. So in India you don't really get 1000 ppm fluoride toothpaste for kids. You have only 500 ppm available till 8 years of age. So it's whatever is available, that is the only option that we have. Else it can be sourced from some online sources where 1000 to 1350 to 1500 ppm also are available. Now unfortunately some alarming instances that we've seen, that professional fluoride applications which are very easily sold on Amazon and appear to look very inexpensive. Please do not fall for these and end up buying all this, because you do not know how much of the dosage of fluoride will get ingested. So that is regarding the toothpaste. Now for kids, at least in India, there are only the gel pastes available. So we don't really have an option but to use what is there. Once the child starts getting permanent teeth, gel pastes are not really recommended because they don't do a good job of cleaning. They are non-abrasive and mostly so sweet that all of them end up tasting like jams. And the child ends up eating the toothpaste rather than brushing with it. So the recommendation that is currently followed is spit but don't rinse. So the child needs to spit out once or twice after you clean the teeth, not to rinse with water and not to rinse multiple times is the advice to be followed, because the fluoride ends up being washed out. So it doesn't provide any form of security cover for the teeth. Now another thing is a common complaint whether the child gets up with bad breath, and can we use any mouthwash for it. See, most commercially available mouthwashes contain nothing other than essential oils. So it's basically wintergreen oil, pudina tel, clove oil in all sorts of quantities mixed with colored water. So what you would be giving your child is basically only wasting money. It doesn't do anything to help other than a sense of fresh breath for about 30 seconds to 1 minute. After which, whatever the child has eaten normally forms plaque back on the teeth within 1 minute. So the only effective strategy is good brushing twice a day. Only if the child has multiple cavities and medical conditions which require more frequent cleaning, if there are special needs or something like that, then the recommendation is thrice a day, not more than that. So these are coming to the basic doubts which are regularly asked. Now, how do we clean the teeth for young babies? Now, for mothers who have small kids, we all know it's a fight every morning to try and force the brush into the child's mouth. And it's a war situation in the bathroom for 5 minutes with no result in the end. The child crying, the mother frustrated, and nothing happening. And when they come to a dentist, it is more of guilt tripping that why didn't you do this? See, it's an easier way to get out of the war is to have the child in this position. Having them, two adults in a knee-to-knee position would obviously provide some distraction to the child also. And the other adult helps in controlling their arms and legs. So sitting behind the child and cleaning the teeth would be a much easier option rather than stand in front, look at the mirror and fight with them. And since you do not have to rinse, it does not mean that it necessarily be done in the bathroom. Can be done anywhere where you just spit but don't rinse. So the knee-to-knee position is the best for infant toothbrushing. If it's a single adult brushing for a toddler, it's always better to have the toddler in front of you. You stand behind and restrain them with your left hand, I would say, which is the non-dominant hand, and do the brushing from behind with your right or dominant hand, whichever. It may be the left for some of you. So now the infant oral care routine that is advised is, after every feed, wipe the gums. A clean handkerchief, washcloth with some warm water should be more than enough. With mild pressure and using a finger brush, it's good to massage the teeth. There's no need for any ointments or honey or anything at all to be used till 6 months of age. Now, after 6 months of age, once the child has started using animal milk, or not 6 months, whenever the child has moved to animal milk and has no known issues with it, you can always use ghee as a lubricant to massage the gums. All you need to do is exert a good amount of pressure such that the gum becomes soft. It reduces the pain of teething and prevents the child from chewing on any hard objects which are nearby. I think for most kids the favorite is the nearest slipper that they can find, and that's the first thing that goes into the mouth. So to avoid all this, it's better a regular gum massage will help the child feeling much more comfortable. Now, the silicone finger toothbrush will do an effective job to clean till there are about 3 to 4 teeth in the mouth. But once the number of teeth start increasing, the finger brush alone is not enough. Now, the basic fundamental behind this being, the bacteria in the mouth require a hard surface to stick to. So you have a sterile oral cavity when the child is born and a reasonably sterile one till the tooth erupts. But once teeth start erupting, the bacteria have enough of a home to sit and multiply there. So that is why it is even more important that all these are kept clean. So if you see these pictures over there, it just looks that the first picture shows that there are small brown lines which are seen on the teeth, and most parents think it is just some minor discoloration. But it is not so. This is the earliest sign of tooth decay that can start in a child. And once the brown color is seen, that means the topmost layer of the tooth, which is the enamel, is already broken. And beyond this stage, it will only keep worsening if it's not treated. At this point, I wouldn't say it's a cause to raise alarm because this decay can be arrested and we can prevent it from spreading further. But if it worsens to a situation as you see in the next picture, that means that the bacteria and the plaque, that is the remaining food mixed with saliva, have already caused enough damage on 6 of the teeth. So now it would be more of symptomatic treatment wherein you prevent the pain caused to the child. But ideally, it would require further restorations of the teeth. Now, to restore these teeth sometimes, it becomes very difficult in a small child who's moving around a lot, and the instruments which we use are extremely sharp. So sometimes doctors might advise that it is better to do it when the child is sedated or under general anesthesia. So that is not something which is wrong advice, it is more for the safety of the child. So in a mild stage, something that can be arrested, in moderate and severe cases needs to be treated because this affects the overall well-being of the child. Now when your child is not able to eat because of tooth pain, obviously you end up giving more and more pureed food and the child does not accept textures of foods. So any chunky pieces are always spit out. So this is something that makes it a more fussy eater later on. So that's why when the child starts demanding more and more pureed or soft food or prefers certain textures like sweet and mashed food, then it's time to have a recheck as to why the child is refusing the regular food that they would eat. So preferences for extra soft food would mean that the teeth are definitely hurting and they do need further investigations to see if any treatment is required. Extremely sensitive teeth also may be present where there has been a calcium deficiency post-birth. So these are some of the areas which require an immediate check and not to get fooled when said that these are only milk teeth and these will fall off later. These milk teeth are the ones which are setting place for the permanent teeth. So if this tooth decay is untreated, then it would cause pus which sits on top of the new permanent teeth which are in the bowl. So this pus is acidic. And just to give you an example, if you have marble and you throw some acid on it, it would just roughen the surface of the marble. When it's wet, you cannot really see anything. But once it's dried, you can make out the patch that is visible on that. So this is what the pus does to the calcium of the new teeth. So it spoils the surface of the teeth such that even normal food will cause it to decay much sooner than what it would. So therefore, it is essential that any decay in milk teeth be treated such that the milk teeth remain in good condition and in turn keep the permanent ones also in good condition. So the next thing that we come to, the lip ties and tongue ties, most often missed in a quick screening that may be done, or sometimes told that it requires an extensive surgical procedure with hospitalization. It's a very simple procedure, just a simple snip with a scissor if done within the first 2 days to 10 days of birth. The only thing that we need to check is whether the baby has had a vitamin K injection or not. Now what can this persistent tongue tie do? It will not help the baby to latch well. Therefore, when they feed, the baby ends up gulping in much more air. Because of this, the baby becomes very colicky, gassy and has all other problems with it. Sometimes tongue ties in the front of the tongue are very easy to diagnose, but there is something called as a posterior tongue tie, which is more towards the back of the tongue. And this doesn't allow the tongue to roll properly and therefore they are not able to swallow the milk and later the food. So because this tongue movement becomes limited, the teeth don't get cleaned very easily, therefore more decay again. Now if you see the next picture where you can see a lip tie present between the front teeth. Now every time the lip keeps moving, the tissue there also moves. There is food and milk that gets stuck in that area and ends up causing tooth decay in that region. So it's always better to have an assessment whether these require a procedure called as frenotomy or frenectomy to be done. Not all these ties need correction. Some of them may need depending on the severity. So it's always better to have an assessment for such a problem. So the next one is injuries to front teeth. Now most common when the kids start learning how to walk and run is when they go and bump into regions. Now sometimes when they have eye issues where the lower half of the eye cannot see well enough, it's also very common to end up having dental injuries. So when we see the same child coming multiple times for knocked out or broken teeth, it is a red flag for us to first refer them to an ophthalmologist as to why this is happening so frequently. Now, the most common times when the child might get an injury is say 18 months and above, when they've actually started running and they bump into any hard surface and the teeth has a risk of getting knocked out. Now, since the tooth is just about forming, it's a tiny tooth and any force there can completely get the tooth knocked out of bone. So what do you do in cases of these knocked teeth, broken teeth or partially chipped teeth is what I'll tell you. Now some of these may be emergencies, some may wait for a day and some are something that you can ignore and just do the basic first aid. So let's come to something that becomes an emergency. So when the tooth is fully or partially out of the gum, it's in your hand, it's fallen down on a surface, that is an emergency. You need to see a dentist right away. Within the first hour is always the best. Now if you can see something like a brake line running through the cracked tooth, now in this case if the child bites on anything, there will be intense and severe pain and the child will be extremely distressed. So in these cases it may require the tooth to be removed if the fracture is gone through and through. So this too again an emergency. Now through the tooth, if you can see a reddish piece hanging out, that means the first two layers of the tooth have broken and the innermost, that is the pulp, is exposed. If this remains exposed to air, it is extremely painful with even a drop of water touching that. So this is something that needs immediate treatment and should not be postponed. Okay, regarding the knocked out teeth, the knocked out teeth can happen in permanent ones, all the milk ones also. Now milk teeth sometimes it may really not be necessary to replace them, but permanent teeth, yes, they have to be replaced. So a few things that we need to know regarding knocked out teeth. If they fall down, we need to first assess whether it's a clean area or a dirty area. Now fallen in mud, this tooth might be very difficult to replace, especially in school playgrounds where there is rough sport going on between boys and girls, and this happens very commonly. So if such a thing happens, just hold the tooth by the white portion, that is the crown, rinse it under tap water, put it in milk or water and take the child to the nearest available dentist. Even better, if you can clean the tooth, just rinsing it under water and place it back from where it has fallen out will help that tooth survive much better than what it would carrying it in some other agent. So safe agents to carry it will be water or coconut water or cold milk. 20 to 30 minutes the tooth will survive in these solutions. You don't need anything fancy, just put it in that, take it to the doctor, fix it back, and these teeth need to be splinted, that is they need to be stuck together with the adjacent teeth to help this to survive. Then once it becomes firm in the mouth, which might take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, we need to assess if that needs a root canal treatment or any further intervention. Now this might not be the same for milk teeth. Sometimes the most conservative treatment that we do for milk teeth would be to extract the offending one. So it depends on what kind of injury it is and what kind of tooth it is to decide whether it should be saved or removed. Now I am obviously assuming that the child would have had vaccinations up to date. So unless it is a dirty injury where the child's tooth has fallen in mud, it doesn't really require a tetanus vaccine to be given again. If it is in mud, then we leave it to the doctor to decide whether the vaccination needs to be repeated. So this is something that is an absolute emergency. Within 30 minutes, you have to be at the nearest dentist available who would be able to push it inside. So then a cracked tooth or something which is splintered like this, it can wait for a day. You just need to reposition it slightly back and compare it with the earlier position that it was in. And the child is able to push it with his tongue into a better position. This can wait for a day, but not more than that. So now, I'm sorry, the picture doesn't seem very clear with the lights on, but you can see that one of the teeth which had slightly shifted has this grayish color which is there. That shows that the tooth is dead from inside. So if it has any pus in that, it might need something called as a pulp pulpectomy to be done to clean out this tooth and improve the shade. So now coming to oral habits which most kids have, thumb sucking is a major concern for many parents, thumb sucking or any finger sucking for that matter. So this can cause many problems. It introduces outside germs into the oral cavity, causing breathing issues later on, and the pressure is so intense that it shifts the bone and the permanent teeth present in that area end up being very protruded. So this can cause a lot of crooked teeth, also result later in adenoid problems, and both can go hand in hand as well. So for teachers especially who are here, you have kids with bunny teeth kind of appearance. Two things what you need to be very careful for. Check if they have very frequent allergies, and secondly they are at high risk for sport injury. So it's recommended that these children wear a mouth guard during rough sport. So this is how a mouth guard looks like. There are some which are available on Amazon, of course, but the sizes don't fit all. So it's better to get it made from a dentist such that it fits comfortably and prevents any injury, especially in sports like cricket, basketball, football, and wherever there might be physical contact with another child. So the last thing, coming to gum and lip cuts, it's obviously not a dire emergency, though it looks like a lot of bleeding when blood is mixed with saliva. Do not apply any sugar or turmeric. It is not required to stop the bleeding. Just a clean washcloth or a handkerchief with ice to apply pressure on the wound. There is really no need for antibiotics for this unless it is a deep cut and contaminated with dirt or something else. For pain, just simple paracetamol as per the recommended dosage, and if it is extremely deep, it will require stitches. Another common concern that wakes up most parents, where the kid is grinding the teeth very badly at night. Multiple reasons for it, but the most common one which you need to rule out with your dentist and pediatrician is the presence of ear infections or decayed teeth. So grinding makes the child feel much better. Therefore, the continuous irritating grating sound at night that you have. So once these are ruled out, then the other causes can be examined and of course ruled out and treated accordingly if there is any dental issue. And there might be other issues like deworming, etc., which the pediatrician can advise. So because of these teeth grinding, what will happen is the teeth get chipped off and flattened completely, and later on it makes the bite very small, and the new teeth which come out will come out malaligned. So therefore this bruxism needs to be treated, or the night grinding. It results in intense jaw pains and headaches also later. So for headache, along with the eye evaluation, this also is necessary to be asked. So another common problem, mouth breathing, where the child keeps their mouth open while sleeping. The most common reason being allergies. Dr. Spurti will cover the rest of it in her talk. And if this is the posture in which the child sleeps, along with a pediatric evaluation, a dental evaluation is equally necessary, because of the simple reason that the floor of the nose is the roof of the mouth. And if you treat the roof of the mouth, it's equivalent to treating the floor of the nose if there is an evident dental problem. So just some tips for good dental health in babies. Do not bottle feed as much as possible, because not only does it cause tooth decay, propping the bottle in the mouth and putting the baby to sleep puts them at a high risk for ear infections as well. The only thing allowed in a bottle is water, nothing else. Another thing additionally, no Bonvita, Horlicks, Pediasure, sugar, honey, jaggeries, any flavors, additives, fruit juices recommended in a bottle. The child's height will be a mean parental height. No health drink will really help them shoot up in height and weight as told in the advertisements. So please do not fall for marketing gimmicks. It is only a change of color of the milk. Whatever you add, you can, if you want to change color, turmeric also changes color. So you don't really need to add anything to this. So this is what we would say, encourage finger food as much as possible. Nothing again that is processed, and a standard rule, nothing that comes out of a box or packet is recommended till the child is 3 years old. Then in the end, do's, only use fluoride toothpaste. Non-fluoridated again are not recommended. Again, do not go for Amway and all these other companies which sell through representatives. Not recommended at all. Twice daily brushing, spit but not rinse, a regular gum massage till 3 years, till all the teeth have erupted in the mouth. Injury prevention, and any poor oral habits such as thumb sucking or lisping, which is called as tongue thrust in technical terms, it needs to be treated on time, else it results in a speech disorder. Now don'ts again, no herbal toothpaste, no Colgate salt, herbal charcoal or anything added to it is going to be better than a regular white fluoridated toothpaste. Non-gels are recommended. No junk food or processed stuff like maida, which can stick to the teeth and end up with tooth decay, later on causing poor food habits and obesity issues. Do not ignore any poor oral habits. Don't ignore decay in milk teeth because they are anyway going to fall out and be replaced. And don't ignore broken teeth and take the child after a couple of weeks where virtually nothing can be done and it's only cosmetic measures to take care of the teeth. So these are what I would want to reiterate once more.